Hey there, it's Dr. Nadia, and today I wanted to talk about ghosting. So, the truth is, ghosting isn't just in dating. It's been a long time since I've been on a date that type of relationship. I've been married for a minute, but I will say that I have had a number of clients that have reached out and they have been like, I don't understand what just happened. We had a great conversation. They seemed interested. They asked for more information. I followed all the steps. I sent over the information or the invoice or the proposal, whatever, and nothing, crickets, or what I call they joined the witness protection program. They just disappeared. It's like they just vanished off the face of the earth. And many times that can leave you confused. It can leave you frustrated. It can just leave you wondering, like, is it me? It's hard sometimes to not take that personal. But the truth is, even the best of us get ghosted in sales. But there are a few things that you can do, especially if you start to see this as a recurring trend, right? I definitely want you to take some time to do some investigating, maybe do some diagnostic to really look at your overall sales process. The first thing I want you to look at is, were they qualified? So definitely want you to look at your lead qualification process. How, what are the steps that you took them through? What questions did you ask before you entered into a conversation? Like, what are the things that kind of led up to that conversation before things kind of went away, right? So you kind of like, okay, we did these things, we did X, Y, and Z, we had this great conversation, and then this happened. And then you can kind of determine, okay, maybe there are some tweaks that you may find through that process. You're like, okay, I see where I could tighten up a few areas. The second thing, and I think this is one where we really don't talk about it enough, is, did you listen to that still small voice, or did you listen to your gut? Because there was something about that whole conversation that just didn't quite feel right. So maybe they said all the right things and they did all the right things, but you just felt some kind of way and you probably dismissed it. I have done that a number of times, and that is something that I personally have been evaluating about the times when my gut is saying one thing, but everything else is like, but no, no, Nadia, you should really trust this. But I want you to really listen to your gut. So even with that, one of my clients at an event she had earlier this year, she had a 3-day event, and there were two clients. There were two people. She made the offer. Was really proud, and there were people that were registering or signing up, and there were two people that signed up in particular. And she one I knew that she was kind of like, I don't know, right? The other one I had spoken with, and I was kind of like, I don't know. But of course, it's the excitement of the event. There are a lot of moving pieces, and we're both just kind of like, well, let's see, right? So she kind of put it out there. She and I had a conversation at the end of the evening about just everyone, right? Everyone that had registered, what were some of the things that we wanted to do as we got ready to wrap up the event, looking at her sales goals, all the things that we do when we're at a live event. And we just revisited this. So the next day, day 3, as we're getting ready to wrap up, these two people, very different, right? It's how they approached it, but they both came back less than 24 hours after they said yes. They came back and said no. And I get that this is a little different than being ghost, but just hear me out. And so she was like, she immediately kind of went into her default of, we gotta save the sale, right? Like, we gotta figure out what's going on with these two individuals. And my question to her was, are you sure you want to work with them? Like, we both have been getting some signals, right? And the truth is, here's this opportunity to just bless and release. And so I was like, before I go back and have these conversations, I need you to be sure that these are individuals or people that you want to work with, that you are excited about working with for 12 whole months, right? I'm not the one that's going to have to work with them. You are. So I need you to be sure. So she's like, you're right, Nadia, you're right. So she came back. She's like, you know what? It's just not. I was like, then just issue the refund, right? No harm, no fouls, a deposit, less than 24 hours, in and out, right? Just let it go. And she did that, and the right clients came. So I share that story because sometimes we don't listen, and the ghosting or the witness protection program really could just be that blessing because we didn't listen sometimes. But again, paying attention and looking at your process, but also trusting your gut. You don't have to extend an invitation to everyone that you speak with to work with you. So that's why it's really important for you to be clear on who is the best fit to work with you and know your non negotiables. There are some people you'll speak with and they'll be fabulous. They'll have the money. They may even, check some of the boxes, but maybe one of those boxes is a non negotiable and that's one that they didn't check. And you need to be okay with just bless and release, letting it go. So learning to trust your gut in those processes or in that process of sales and those conversations is really, really important. And then the third thing is just thinking about your post conversation process. Like, do you have a process already laid out in the event that this should happen? So, as you're putting together your client journey roadmap, as you're putting together your pipeline, you should have a process in place already mapped out that says, what if I talk to Dr. Nadia and Dr. Nadia decided to join the witness protection program or ghost me? What will you do? Like, what is your process? There's no right or wrong answer here. How do you want to proceed? There are those that I've experienced. They're like, you know what? I have no tolerance, or we have a no tolerance zone for lack of communication or lack of honesty. Some people really see that as being dishonest. Whatever that may be, your line. Some people are just like, I don't know. Maybe they were indecisive. Not really up to you to kind of get too deep into that part of it because they have to own it, their actions in terms of why they didn't get back to you. But definitely, looking at your overall follow-up process and before it even happens, knowing ahead of time how you would want to deal with that. And then finally, and I would say maybe as a bonus, number 4 is just really thinking about as you're looking at the entire process, right? Or the people that you're taking through that process and that you're speaking with, but also just understanding like what happens as you're having these conversations with people and you get to the end of the conversation and giving people permission to say no. So again, depending on your clients, depending on the type of work that you do, depending on how that conversation may go, you may want to have that depending on what your gut says, right? You may just want to speak to the pink elephant in the room and say, you know what? Hey, you have permission to say no, right? And you may not use those exact words, right? But essentially it's okay if the answer is no. So sometimes at the beginning of the conversation, you could be like, part of the reason why we're gathered here today is to determine if this is a good fit for us to work together. And one or both of us may decide that the answer is no. And guess what? That is perfectly okay. And just putting it out there, whether at the beginning, at the middle, and the end, and a follow-up, giving people permission to just say no. And sometimes that is a very appropriate response based on maybe the relationship. If maybe you have some history there, they may be someone whatever the reason. Or again, you may just make that standard process for your sales conversation so that people, say, hey, we're grown-ups here. You don't have to join the witness protection program or ghost me. You can just tell me no. I'm a big girl. I'll be okay. My feelings will not be hurt, right? And just putting it out there. So that is also something to consider as you're putting together your entire sales process or approaching, really looking at how you approach those conversations. I think it's important for us to just be open and honest. We're here today to talk about this. Can I help you? Do I want to help you? Do we want to work together? Like all those great things. And if the answer in any of those is no, then okay, great. Nice meeting you. And maybe one day in the future that may be different or not, right? So we have to really look at that. But the truth is ghosting isn't just for dating. It happens all the time in sales. There are ways that we can help mitigate that and help lessen it. But I don't know if we'll ever be able to get it to 0% unless we just stop talking to people. And I don't recommend that. So if ghosting has been an issue, right, or something for you, or you're like, Dr. Nadia, I really use some help with really fleshing some of these things out. Good news is I'm gathering a group of people, an intimate group of people together in a couple weeks where I'm going to walk them through the process, putting together a sales pipeline, putting together their sales process in a way that's not sleazy, not slimy, not salesy, that's really in alignment with who they are and their values. And so if you're interested in getting the details about that, just comment "I do" below, and someone, either myself or someone from my team, will get those deets over to you. Like, would really be a great time to work together for a 3-day intensive, where we just walk that through. And again, it's going to be an intimate group, so it's not going to be 100 people in the room. It's going to be a small group of folks where I get to work very closely with them to help them map that out. So if that's something you're interested in, again, just drop "I do" down in the comments below, and we'll get that information over to you. See you soon. Bye-bye.